And it is time for Building Rural Wealth. We have with us this morning Ashleigh Franco.
Yes.
Ashleigh, how are you?
Doing good.
Kaleb Roebuck as well. Kaleb, how are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing great.
So Building Rural Wealth from Milestone Financial Group, year-end portfolio rebalancing. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's this time of year, a lot of people are asking, hey, are you still on the right track? And kind of after a volatile market, it's crazy. In April, S&P was down about 20%. Now we're at all-time new highs. It's normal to kind of feel anxious about whether the investments are positioned in the right way, and especially kind of for your personal future. Mm-hmm. So kind of rebalancing is meaning adjusting in your mix of investments back to where you want them. For example, you started with a 60% stock and 40% bond portfolio. The markets have been great, phenomenal, but now they're a 70% stock, 30% bond portfolio. Rebalancing means kind of realigning back to that 60-40 position. It's very similar to realigning your car. So you get to going, you're going down the highway, nothing seems too crazy, you hit a couple bumps, a couple potholes, and then before you know it, you're driving at a 45-degree angle to go straight. Mm-hmm. So rebalancing is kind of realigning. It's a quick stop to the shop and saying, hey, where do we really want to be, and get that correct position so there's fewer panic swerves in the future. This is especially true when we have really good years in the market. The winners keep winning, and we kind of need hey, you're taking a little more risk, we should probably shift back. So, and a lot of times people feel like doing nothing is safer, that status quo bias, like, why would I make a change? I am making money. But flip side is when the market turns, and it will turn, that is just the tendency of the market, you can, without rebalancing, you can drift to a little more risk than what you really want to be.
So why is the year-end a good time to do this, or a key time, Kaleb?
Yeah, well, for a lot of people, October through December is kind of just that natural time to check in on stuff, set new goals, and do that stuff. But also, like to Ashleigh's point too, like we mentioned, it's also making sure you know what your risk is. What risk do you want to take? Where your portfolio is at to either adjust up or down. And markets have been unpredictable. We've had 3 now really good years. In the market. 2023 was a good year. 24 was a good year. And just as of this morning, Ashleigh mentioned S&P's at multiplies. It's up like 15% this year. At one point, it was down 20%, 20%. So that is volatility, yeah. And we were on here talking to everybody through it. But, that's why, having a checkpoint, checking, do you know what your target allocation is? What is your risk score? And what is your actual portfolio at? Those are 3 kind of different things. What do I want to be at? Where am I actually at? And how am I actually positioned? And sometimes, that year-end rebalance can help you start that new year with, that portfolio strategy. It's a good time to review where am I at. And again, sometimes it's looking at, Ashleigh mentioned stocks and bonds, but it's, hey, am I in the right sectors? Am I in large cap stocks? Am I too much in tech stocks? Am I too much in mid cap or do I have any international exposure? So that rebalancing can also kind of help incorporate those kind of elements in it too. But also, rebalancing at the end of year can affect gains and losses. So if you're doing it in a non-qualified account, this is a good time to rebalance your portfolio, but you got to be aware of taxes and maybe take advantage of some tax loss harvesting or harvest some of those gains as well too.
So one of the things that we have talked about in the past is emotions and discipline. So let's talk about emotions versus discipline. Ashleigh.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
So volatility stirs up emotion. Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
And it's that fear of loss or also that temptation to kind of chase what's hot. A really good example I like to give of this is you have a couple glasses of wine and you get to thinking, I'm going to text my ex. It is you think, this is perfect in the evening. What could go wrong? This is what I need to do. And in the moment, it feels right. But flip side is, if you do or you don't, you're usually better off if you don't at the end of the next day when things are a little bit clearer. So
yes,
kind of an example of not chasing what's hot or doing what feels right in the moment and kind of taking that friend view, saying, hey, hold off, let me hold on to your phone for you. So when markets get rocky, we see people either freeze up or want to chase those next things that have been really hot. And having like just a routine balancing plan keeps you from making those knee-jerk reactions. They say it is what it is. It's a systemized, disciplined process that just takes emotions off the table, so you're not worried about that.
Yeah, rebalancing isn't just selling all the things that did bad this year and buying everything that did really good this year of the, the things that, all the things that have gone up a ton. But that's what's hard, rebalancing is kind of that emotional and that, but, it is hard.
And flip side is the stock market, you say all the time, is one of the very few pieces of life that has a scoreboard. Every single time. Either you won or you lost. Then flip side is, well, why would I sell my winners and buy my losers? But flip side is, hey, where do I want my risk score to be? And for that future pending drop, is that where I want to be balanced?
The other question is, does it mean I'm selling my winners? We just kind of touched on this. Yes, it does to some degree. That's why, hey, when you have, there's some funds or some stocks this year that are up, 20, 30, 40%, or if it's a stock, a couple 100% if it's some of these, unprofitable tech companies, So anyways, but again, that's what's hard, that is it. That's called risk management. That's what we call risk management. Hey, you take your gains and, you capture them and you avoid overexposure other places. Other people think it's complicated. The other question is, how complicated is it? Well, we've touched on some things. If you don't know your risk score, if you don't know what your actual strategic allocation should be, where you want to, it can be pretty difficult because in essence, what people do is kind of rebalance to what was the best performing thing last year. That's not a strategic rebalance. Again, and then along with that, do I have to do it alone? Again, there are tools out there, but again, that's where we come in and help folks. You don't have to do it alone. We help folks figure out, what it is they need to do, take that complicated piece out and kind of actually have a plan when you do it. Because, this is something that it's not the same every single time either. Kind of that rebalancing is a term, but, along your life stages, your risk and your mix of what you're invested in changes.
Or type of accounts too.
Yeah,
like sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. What type of account should I be rebalancing in? Hey, my 401k is different than maybe my IRA and my Roth IRA or my non-qualified account. Generally, most folks that we see, all those account types aren't invested the exact same way.
Right.
And some of those have tax consequences with them. When clients kind of take it step by step, or we help them walk through it step by step, you kind of do see that relief on their face. You do kind of see that understanding and the importance of, not only why they need to rebalance, why they have diversification, but kind of it is that systematic approach every year of, again, making adjustments, not wholesale changes.
And we have kind of that social experience because it's not just we're looking at just your stuff. We have that social proof of our other clients. Hey, we know doing this, it works. Mm-hmm. Whether we tweak that to make it fit for your personal life, that makes complete sense. But we know, hey, along the ways, if you do these right steps, you're going to be okay. Don't call the ex-girlfriend.
Put the wine away.
Yeah.
Put your phone away, and do not send that text.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
good point.
Discipline
Good. That's a life
over emotion there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good advice in general.
Yeah,
I think.
you can apply that to multiple fields.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably. Yeah,
absolutely.
But in general, it is normal for people to feel anxious. Again, it's been another wild year, not only in the market and the economy. We've had tax law changes. We've had kind of all these changes. So you do want to take account of where you're at, what you need to be doing, what's coming up.
Yeah.
But again, that's hard for everybody. So anybody that is kind of having those questions, needs help having those questions answered, or needs a second opinion, that's what we're here for.